Sunshine to Starlight, A Little Girl's Magical Bedtime Journey. Chapter 1. Morning Light in a Cozy Home. It was a peaceful morning in the little girl's cozy home. Gentle golden sunlight crept through the window curtains, painting soft shapes on her bedroom wall. The girl yawned and stretched under her warm quilt, feeling the soft weight of her favorite stuffed animal tucked by her side. In the quiet house, she could hear faint birdsong from outside, a cheerful greeting to start the day. The little girl sat up slowly, rubbing the sleep from her eyes. She loved the morning's quiet moments. On the rug by her bed, her slippers waited for her small feet. She slid them on, enjoying their fuzzy warmth, and tiptoed out of her bedroom. The floorboards barely creaked as she made her way down the short hall, drawn by the gentle sounds of her family starting the day. In the kitchen, her mother hummed a soft tune while cooking a warm breakfast. The smell of buttery toast and sweet oatmeal filled the air, making the girl smile sleepily. Her father was quietly pouring milk into 2 cups, one for him and 1 small cup for her. He looked up and grinned when he saw the girl peek around the doorway. "Good morning, sweetheart," her father whispered kindly, careful not to break the calm quiet. He opened his arms and the little girl went into a warm hug, feeling safe and loved. Her mother turned with a bright smile, keeping her voice gentle. "Good morning, my love. Did you sleep well?" she asked. The girl nodded, still snuggled in her father's arms, and gave a tiny, content laugh as her mother ruffled her hair playfully. They sat at the kitchen table together for a simple breakfast. The little girl ate her oatmeal with cinnamon and raisins, each spoonful warm and comforting. A vase on the table held a few fresh wildflowers her mother had picked yesterday, and the girl reached out to touch a soft pink petal while she chewed. Outside, a small bird perched on the windowsill, peeking in as if to say hello. The girl giggled softly, pointing it out to her parents. The bird's tiny head bobbed before it fluttered away toward the nearby forest. After breakfast, the girl helped her mother wash the dishes, standing on a little stool at the sink. The water was warm and bubbly, and she giggled whenever a soap bubble floated up and popped on her nose. Her mother and father exchanged happy glances. These ordinary moments were special and gentle, filled with love. With the kitchen tidy, the family decided to spend the day mostly outdoors. The weather was perfect, sunny and mild with a friendly breeze. The little girl's home sat near the edge of a beautiful forest, and she often played in the yard or took short walks among the trees with her parents. That morning, the girl was especially curious about the forest. She had heard the birds singing from the trees and imagined what other friendly creatures might be awake and beginning their day. Her mother helped her get dressed in a light, comfy outfit, soft blue overalls and her favorite t-shirt with a smiling sun on the front. The girl's father packed a small picnic basket with a few snacks for later, an apple, some carrot sticks, and a couple of cookies as a treat. They planned to have a gentle day of exploring close to home. The little girl could barely contain her excitement, though her excitement showed in quiet ways, a bright smile and an eager sparkle in her eyes. She carefully slipped her hand into her mother's, ready to go outside, and her father opened the front door. Stepping out onto the porch, the girl felt the gentle warmth of the late morning sun on her face. She took a deep breath of the fresh air. The day smelled of blooming flowers and fresh-cut grass, with a hint of the piney forest just beyond their yard. It was a perfect, calm morning to start a tiny adventure. The little girl felt happy and safe, holding one parent's hand and knowing the other was right beside her. Together, the family set out toward the friendly trees at the edge of the yard, beginning a day that would be filled with gentle discovery and warm memories. Chapter 2. Afternoon in the friendly forest. Hand in hand, the family wandered beyond their yard and into the welcoming arms of the forest. Tall trees swayed gently overhead, their leaves whispering hello in the mild breeze. Sunlight danced through the branches, creating patterns on the ground that shifted as the leaves rustled. The little girl looked up in awe at the towering oaks and pines. They felt ancient and kind, like quiet giants watching over her. She squeezed her mother's hand softly, feeling excitement and comfort all at once. A narrow, familiar path wound under the trees. The The girl and her parents followed it slowly, listening to the chorus of the woods. Birds chattered and sang to one another from the treetops in cheerful tones. In the distance, a little brook bubbled over rocks, its sound like someone laughing quietly. Everything in the forest seemed alive and friendly. The girl noticed how soft the moss was along the path edges, like a green carpet inviting her to walk on it. She crouched for a moment to gently touch the moss with her fingertips, smiling at its spongy, cool feel. As they ventured further in, a small rustle sounded in a nearby blueberry bush. The girl paused, and her parents knelt beside her, curious and calm. From beneath the leaves, a tiny brown rabbit peeked out. Its nose twitched as it sniffed the air. The little girl stayed very still and very quiet, remembering how her parents taught her to be gentle with animals. Slowly, she reached into the picnic basket her father carried and pulled out one of the carrot sticks. Holding it out with an open palm, she waited patiently. The rabbit's long ears perked up at the sight of the treat. In a few cautious hops, it came closer until it was right at the girl's feet. Then, in one quick movement, the bunny plucked the carrot stick from her hand with its little teeth. The girl giggled softly. She felt the bunny's whiskers tickle her palm. "Hello, little one," she whispered. The rabbit's dark eyes looked at her kindly as it nibbled on the carrot. In the magic of the friendly forest, the girl imagined the rabbit understood her words. Perhaps in its own gentle way, it did. The bunny bobbed its head as if to say, "Thank you," then hopped back to the bushes, its white tail disappearing into the green. The girl and her parents continued on, coming to a small clearing surrounded by flowering bushes. Bright butterflies fluttered around, their colorful wings flapping slowly as if dancing just for them. The family decided this would be a lovely spot to rest for a while. They laid out a soft blanket on the ground. As her parents settled down, the little girl stood for a moment, closing her eyes to feel the sunlight on her face and the forest breeze in her hair. She felt as if the whole forest was giving her a gentle hug. They sat together on the blanket for a light picnic lunch. The girl had half of her apple and one of the cookies, while her parents sipped water and shared the other apple. Not far away, the gentle brook they had heard was visible, a ribbon of sparkling water. The girl watched a pair of yellow butterflies chase each other near the stream, looping in lazy circles. Everything was peaceful. After eating, the little girl lay back on the blanket, looking up through the branches at the fluffy white clouds drifting across the blue sky. One cloud looked a bit like a bunny, reminding her of her new rabbit friend. Another cloud looked like a heart, or so her mother pointed out softly, making the girl smile. High above, a red-breasted robin flew by and disappeared into the treetops, perhaps going to its nest. As her parents relaxed, the girl noticed a friendly squirrel watching from the base of a tree nearby. Its head peeked around the trunk, and its tail flicked curiously. The girl sat up slowly and gave a little wave. To her delight, the squirrel scampered a bit closer. It eyed the basket where the last cookie was kept. The girl's father chuckled quietly, noticing the squirrel's interest. "I think someone smells our treat," he said in a low voice that still sounded cheerful. Giggling, the girl asked her parents if they could share a bit of the cookie with the squirrel. Her mother broke off a tiny piece and placed it in the girl's open hand. The little girl extended her hand toward the squirrel, staying very still. The squirrel crept forward, step by tiny step, until it grabbed the crumb with its tiny paws. It nibbled quickly, its cheeks bulging. The girl covered her mouth with her free hand to hide a happy laugh. The squirrel looked so silly and cute with its stuffed cheeks. Encouraged, the squirrel chattered in what sounded like a thankful tone. In this magical forest, the girl almost thought she heard it say, "Thank you," in squeaky squirrel language. She imagined what the squirrel's voice might sound like if she could truly understand it. Perhaps the friendly chatter was its way of welcoming her to the forest and thanking her for the treat. Feeling bold and playful, the little girl decided to put a small leaf on her head, pretending it was a squirrel hat, just for fun. The squirrel tilted its head as if puzzled and then made a funny squeak. The girl's parents smiled at the sight of their daughter playing so sweetly. The mother whispered, "You have a good imagination, my love." The father nodded in agreement, adding softly, "The forest likes having you here, I can tell." After their snack and rest, the family packed up the blanket. The girl wanted to explore a little more before heading home, and her parents agreed. They all stood up and continued along the gentle forest path, walking at a slow, unhurried pace. Every so often, the girl would stop to examine something delightful, a cluster of tiny purple flowers growing at the foot of a tree, or a line of ants marching along carrying bits of leaves. Each discovery was small and wondrous. Deeper into the woods, they came upon the little brook they'd seen earlier. It was shallow and clear, chuckling softly as water tumbled over smooth stones. The girl crouched at the water's edge, and her mother steadied her with a gentle hand on her back. In the clear water, little orange and white fish darted around. The fish were very small, minnows that tickled the girl's fingers when she dipped her hand in the cool stream. She giggled at the sensation, and the fish scattered and then slowly came back, as if playing a game of tag. On a flat rock by the brook, a sleepy turtle basked in a patch of sun. The girl waved to it too, and in her mind, she gave the turtle a tiny, polite voice. "Good day, little one," she imagined it saying slowly. She whispered, "Good day, turtle," back, her voice soft and sweet. The turtle blinked lazily, as if greeting her in its own calm way. Every creature they met was gentle and unafraid. In this forest, it felt as though all living things were friends. The little girl felt completely safe and happy. She even began to hum a little song as she walked, one her mother often sang to her at nap time. The tune blended with the sounds of rustling leaves and bird song, making the forest feel like it was humming along with her. Her father quietly hummed a low harmony, and her mother softly sang a few words, and soon the whole family was creating a quiet, cheerful melody that drifted through the trees. Time passed in a pleasant blur of exploration and gentle play. The family wandered just a bit further, noticing how the sun was starting to dip lower in the sky. The light through the trees turned more golden, and the shadows on the forest floor grew longer. Afternoon was gently inching toward evening. Chapter 3. Evening calm and cozy moments. Soon it was time for the family to head back home. The little girl had enjoyed every moment in the forest, and now she held her father's hand as they retraced their steps along the path. The forest was beginning its evening lullaby. Daytime birds were quieting down as the sun dipped lower, and a few crickets started to chirp softly in the grass. Golden sunlight slanted through the trees, and the air felt a little cooler, gently kissing the girl's cheeks. She looked around and whispered a sweet, "Goodbye for now," to the forest and its creatures. In her heart, she knew she would visit her newfound friends again soon. As they left the forest and walked across their yard, the sky was painted in soft colors of the sunset, pale pink, orange, and lavender. The little girl gazed upward in wonder at the pretty sky. A sleepy blackbird sang a last little song from a nearby fence post, as if telling the world goodnight. The girl and her parents stepped inside their cozy home, bringing with them the calm, happy feelings from the day. Evening settled gently around them. In the kitchen, they prepared a light dinner together. The girl helped by folding napkins and placing them on the table. She felt proud to help in these small ways. They ate a simple, comforting meal, warm soup and bread. By the glow of the kitchen lamp, they spoke in soft voices about their favorite parts of the day. The girl told her parents how much she loved meeting the bunny and the squirrel, and how funny the squirrel had been with its chubby cheeks. Her mother smiled and said her favorite part was hearing the little song the forest sang with them. Her father agreed and added, "I liked that very much too. Maybe tomorrow we can sing that song again." The little girl beamed, knowing that even the quiet moments had been special. After dinner, it was time to get ready for bed. The girl was already feeling a little sleepy in the most comfortable way. Her mother ran a warm bath while her father helped her gather a towel and her coziest pajamas. Bubbles floated on the bathwater's surface, shimmering gently. The little girl climbed into the tub with help from her mom, and the warm water made her sigh with relaxation. As her mother softly washed her hair, the girl played with the bubbles, scooping them up into little mountains in her hands. She giggled quietly when a bubble landed on her nose and then popped. Her father peeked in and made a silly face, putting a small puff of bubbles on his own chin like a pretend beard. The girl covered her mouth to stifle a laugh so she wouldn't get too excited before bed. It was a playful, gentle moment that made her feel happy. Soon she was dried off and dressed in her favorite pajamas, pale yellow with tiny stars printed all over and as soft as a hug. Her mother combed out her hair gently, and the girl's eyes grew heavy as she sat wrapped in her towel. She felt fresh, clean, and cozy. Before bed, the little girl went to her room to say goodnight to her toys. Her stuffed animals sat in a neat row on a shelf, and a couple more were resting on her pillow. She gave each a quick, gentle hug. "Good night," she whispered to each toy in turn, imagining they were whispering back, "Sweet dreams." She placed her favorite stuffed bear right in the middle of her pillow so it would be ready to snuggle. In the living room, her father was waiting with a storybook picked out. But tonight, the girl was already very sleepy, so instead of a full story, he suggested they talk quietly about the day as a bedtime story of their own. The little girl climbed into her father's lap on the big, comfy armchair. Her mother dimmed the lights and joined them, wrapping a soft knitted blanket around the girl's shoulders. They spoke in hushed, soothing tones. "Once upon a time," her father began gently, "there was a little girl who explored a magical forest." The girl realized he was telling a simple version of their day, making it sound like a gentle fairy tale. "She met a friendly rabbit who loved carrots," he continued. The girl added in a sleepy mumble, "and a funny squirrel who loved cookies." Her mother laughed quietly, stroking the girl's hair. "Yes, and a very kind family who loved her more than anything," her mother whispered. The girl felt her heart warm and safe hearing those words. By the time their quiet story reached the part where the little family walked home under the sunset sky, the girl's eyes were closing. She let out a tiny yawn and snuggled closer against her father's chest. "And then," her father said softly, "it was time for the little girl to get into her own cozy bed, where she would have the sweetest dreams." At this, the little girl felt herself being lifted. Her father was carrying her to her bedroom, and she hardly even noticed she was already drifting towards sleep. Chapter 4. Nightfall and Sweet Dreams. The little girl's eyes fluttered open just for a moment as her father laid her in bed. Her mother was already there, pulling back the soft covers. They gently tucked the sleepy girl in, nestling her head on her fluffy pillow next to her favorite stuffed bear. The room was dim, lit only by a small nightlight that cast a warm, golden glow, like a tiny moon beside her bed. Her mother pulled the blanket up under the girl's chin and gave her a tender kiss on the forehead. "Good night, my darling," she whispered. Her father stroked her hair and added in a low, soothing voice, "Good night, sleep tight." The little girl gave a sleepy smile. She felt so safe and loved in that moment. As her parents tiptoed out, her father quietly hummed the last few notes of the little forest tune they had sung earlier. The melody was soft and slow, like a lullaby from the trees themselves. The girl's mother gently closed the door partway, leaving it open just a crack so the girl could still hear the comforting sounds of her home. Distant clinks of dishes being tidied, and the low murmur of her parents talking softly. These familiar sounds helped lull the girl further toward sleep, knowing all was well. In the quiet of her room, the little girl gazed at the window. Through the curtains, she could see the silver light of the moon and a few twinkling stars peeking in to watch over her. She remembered how the sunset had looked and imagined the friendly forest now under the night sky. She pictured her forest friends snug in their homes, the bunny curled up in a soft burrow under the bushes, the squirrel snoozing in a cozy nest high in the trees. The robin was surely asleep in its warm nest, and the turtle had likely tucked itself into its shell by the brook's edge. All of her animal friends were safe and at rest, just like she was. The little girl hugged her stuffed bear and let her eyes slowly drift shut. In her mind, she could almost hear the forest at night. The breeze through the trees became a gentle hush, like a soft lullaby saying, "Hush." A distant owl called quietly, its hoot a comforting goodnight song. It was as if the whole forest were telling her it was time to sleep and dream. As she fell completely into sleep, the little girl began to dream. In her dream, she found herself back in the magical forest, but now it was nighttime, and the forest was aglow with a different kind of light. Soft, twinkling lights floated around like tiny stars come down from the sky. Perhaps they were fireflies, or maybe little fairy folk carrying lanterns. The trees that had been green in daylight were silver and blue under the moon, and they seemed to whisper kind words in a language of rustling leaves. In this gentle dream, the bunny hopped out from the bushes, not to eat a carrot this time, but to cuddle up by the girl's feet. The squirrel scampered down from its tree and curled up by her side, its fluffy tail wrapping around itself comfortably. Even the robin fluttered down and tucked its head under its wing on a low branch nearby, and the turtle settled close, looking cozier than ever. The little girl noticed that a new friend had joined them, a wise, downy owl perched above, the very one that had been singing goodnight. The owl's big round eyes were calm and glowing softly, and it nodded at her as if to say, "All is well. It's time to rest." Under the dreaming sky, the little girl lay down in the soft moss, and all her forest friends gathered around her in a protective, loving circle. She felt completely safe and happy. Up above, the moon shone gently and the stars twinkled like millions of nightlights across the sky. A few little fairies, or perhaps they were just very bright fireflies, danced above, drawing silver patterns in the air that looked like little stars and hearts. No one spoke in words. Everything was said in the quiet way that night says things. The comforting silence and soft sounds were better than words. The little girl in her dream let out a tiny yawn as she snuggled deeper into the mossy forest floor, which felt as soft as her own bed. Her animal friends were yawning too. The bunny's nose wiggled sleepily, the squirrel's eyes were closing, the owl fluffed its feathers contentedly. Back in her cozy bedroom, the little girl was smiling in her sleep. The dream made her feel warm and peaceful inside, as if her family and all her forest friends were right there with her, watching over her. She drifted deeper and deeper into sleep, the image of the friendly forest and the loving faces of her parents floating gently in her mind. All through the house, everything was quiet and calm. The night wrapped the world in a loving embrace. The moonlight softly shone through the window, laying a silver path across the floor, leading to the girl's bed, almost like the moon was sending a special beam of light to keep her company. And so the little girl slept soundly through the night. She was cozy in her bed, with her teddy in her arms and a content smile on her face. The friendly forest outside was dark and peaceful, resting until morning, and her cozy home was safe and warm. It had been a wonderful day full of love, friendship, and gentle adventures. Now it was the time of sweet dreams. Good night.